Go on TikTok or nothing. So
Okay. I guess I'll
what's
roll it.
happening? It's good. It's good. What's happening, y'all? It's the GawdsCast, baby. Another episode Tuesdays at 6. You tune in with the greatest Justin Henry, Daniel Norgard. Damn, my guy. It's been a fun week, man. How you living?
Yeah, dude, I'm living good. We had the Scott Fish Bowl on the weekend. We talked
Yes,
about that.
sir.
If you guys have been following us on that, we were live on our way back, kind of giving you guys little tidbits here and there. It was great, man. Good turnout. But I'm ready to get back to regular, regular drafts, stuff like that, man. I'm excited. Let's move on.
Yeah, regular drafts are good. Scott Fishbowl was fun, man. San Francisco was a live draft out in the middle of July. So it's like we got that early taste of redraft action. So it's been kind of slow lately. We also had the release of the Fantasy Bible. If you have not downloaded this, go to our TikTok bio. It's free. Free draft guide. I'm talking like pages upon pages and stuff. 20 pages worth of information. It is absolutely free. Go get it. It's in the link in our TikTok bio. You have to get that one. Yes, sir. We are in the building. We got a few of the regulars in with us. Good, Smooth. What's happening? Smooth says, yo, we got Tua saying what's happening. We're
What
going to
up?
talk it up today. We got a few topics on the agenda, and then we'll get into some questions with you guys. The first thing we want to talk about, though, obviously some breaking rumors. We got to call it breaking rumors. Deshaun Watson right now, 4 to 6 game suspension, man. Then if Deshaun Watson does get, let's call it 6 games, because that seems like the most logical of anything. He gets 6 games. What are we doing with this information, man? Because this kind of came out of nowhere today.
Yeah, 6 games, man. You know, uh, I don't know. I don't know what you do with it, man. It's hang on.
Well, Deshaun, it's crazy because you know the talent with Deshaun Watson, right? So you always got
Yeah,
the talent, and then there comes the piece of like in your mind, you're kind of thinking, do I want this scumbag? You know what I mean? Like, did he even get it? Did he really do everything? Like, there's a whole legal ass process that has to play out when it comes to Deshaun, and then
right.
there's players too. We're talking about Amari Cooper, Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Man, talk to me.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, we know the talent. Deshaun Watson. The last time he was healthy, he was fully healthy. He had a top five season. The year before that, top five season. Year before that, top five season. So to me, at the end of the day, we know he's incredibly talented. Um, but it's hard. At the end of the day, we don't know. Look, rumors are out. It's 4 games, 6 games. We don't know. Could be a whole year or could be indefinitely. To me, I think it's just still like I'm fading the guy probably until like the 13th, 14th round, because at that
Yeah.
point, I mean, what talent is remaining in the 14th round, man? So that can match Deshaun Watson's production, and then really Watson will be your third quarterback at that point. So go for it. Why not? But any earlier, I don't see the value.
Yeah, like you said, we know he's a top five, locked in top five QB when he plays. So to me, that's the upside. I always look for upside in there, but to me, the risk is so heavy this year because now you could be waiting 6 games, 10
Right.
games for this guy to come back. Maybe you miss him for the whole year. So I think luckily for people who haven't drafted yet, you get time to look at it, make sure it's the right fit, see what the suspension looks like. They're probably going to announce something here within the next week or two. So we should know that very soon, but it also affects like the other players too. Like I probably wouldn't take Deshaun Jackson, even if he gets 10 games, let's say, or 6 games. I'm looking at like that Trey Lance, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins area. I'm probably still rocking with one of those guys instead. But when it comes to a player like Amari Cooper, that really changes his value, in my opinion, man. Are you like saying, all right, if Deshaun Watson is clear, does that change where you put Amari Cooper in your rankings?
I think you have to move him up. Yeah. I mean, Amari Cooper's still young, 28 years old. And I think people think that he's like 34, 35 years old, but he's still young. I would
Yeah.
value him around this if Watson is fully healthy and he plays all of the games. Let's just say hypothetically doesn't get suspended and he keeps playing all the games. I value him right around where Keenan Allen has been going. That's kind of the value that I see now with
If
the
Deshaun Watson
uncertainty.
plays all the games, you said.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If he
Okay.
plays all the same games, that's where I value him. Now, if he doesn't play, then you have to bump him down, and that's understandable. But at if let's say he gets suspended 6 games, right? Well,
Yeah.
then to me, Amari Cooper is around the same value as D Hop. D Hop's been going around, I think, 6, 7, and I think that's perfect for Amari Cooper. But Amari is playing. So really,
Yeah.
you almost have to value Amari a little bit better than where Deshaun D-Hop is going, because you're getting 6 games of production. Whether or not that production is elite or not is up for debate. But
Right.
you're getting at least wide receiver 3 numbers for the first 6 weeks.
Yeah, and I think that you make a good point. I feel like at least no matter what with Amari Cooper, you're going to get back end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3 numbers. Now, what makes this a different story is if Deshaun Watson comes in, who's normally a season long pace of like 5,000 yards in that area, that puts Amari Cooper in like the 1,300 yard type of range for receiver, and the touchdowns will come alongside with that. That's an 8 touchdown campaign as well. So when I look at Amari Cooper, I'm like, all right, if Deshaun plays, that's auto high-end wide receiver 2. Like automatically, Amari Cooper's a high-end wide receiver 2. Now, when I start looking at the other weapons, I'm like, okay, that's where this whole Deshaun Watson thing changes. Now, David Njoku becomes an elite tight end 2, low end wide tight end 2. You're looking at Donovan Peoples-Jones or David Bell. One of them is going to emerge as an inconsistent wide receiver 3. It has to happen. Their value will change once Deshaun takes over. So to me, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for right now. And the run game to me is going to be elite no matter what. With Chubb, with Hunt, it'll all be the same. They're going to be elite. That really doesn't change to me. I'm just looking at those pass catching options, the David Njoku, David Bell, and the Donovan Peoples-Jones of the world, and saying, all right, I'm keeping very close tabs on it because 6 games, that changes my take on David Bell. That changes my take on Donovan Peoples-Jones. That changes my take on David Njoku.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, but again, to me, it's all risk at this point. We want to see the confirmation from the NFL. What is he getting? Is he getting
Right.
6? Is he getting, so if you're drafting now, for me, if you're drafting now, I'm probably fading pretty much everybody on the Browns that's not named Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt. But moving forward, I mean, most drafts happen late August, early September. So by then, I mean, we should have a clear consensus ranking. And so if you guys have followed us from now until then, we will have updated rankings in our draft guide when Deshaun Watson's suspension has more clarity.
And to put it this way, man, it's so ambiguous with Deshaun Watson right now. In the Scott Fish Bowl, it was coming back. It was like the 11th round, the start of the 11th round. I took Zach Wilson, who I've been fading very clearly on the Fantasy Gods page. I took Zach Wilson, who was like the 26th or 27th quarterback off the board, over Deshaun Watson. I'm kind of kicking myself for it now. Moving on to other news. So there was a trade today. We haven't had many trades recently. There was a trade today. Your boy, N'Keal Harry, got traded from the Pats to the Bears to give your other boy, Justin Fields, a little bit of receiving help. Dan, what's the fantasy impact of this, man?
Oh, God. None. N'Keal, I don't know, who's talking about N'Keal Harry. Love N'Keal Harry coming out as a prospect. Again, had the size, had the speed, had the draft capital that you look for. Okay, which again is really what you want to see out of proven wide receiver ones.
Yeah.
But in the NFL, I don't know. Obviously, there was something going on, mentally with him. Not too sure if he was, doing the right things in training camp or practice or off the field. Keeping his body right, keeping his mentals right. I don't know how he studies. There's just a lot going on, and he was traded for a 7th round pick. So it just goes to show you that, no one believes in him. It's just, hey, here's another opportunity. You wanted to get out of New England. There's a bunch of receivers. Time to move on. Time to move forward. If he were to play up to his potential, I could see him returning wide receiver 3 numbers. But to me, it's an irrelevant move. Get him, to me, leave him on waivers. And if he starts to ball out, then you can place a waiver claim on him. But really, he's no more than a wide receiver 7 or 8 on your team as a flyer.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where he has what you're looking for, and it seems like actually a better situation than not. He's younger than Velus Jones, who they just drafted in the draft. So to me, I'm looking at it as like, Harry, here's your last chance, really. And sometimes that Pat system is overwhelming for a lot of players. Like that Pat system, the coaching, it's really overwhelming. So it changes.
Well, I think even Chad Johnson said at one time, like that playbook is hard. It's very difficult.
It is.
And that's why Brady was able to be successful with it, because I mean he's very intelligent. and
Right.
it's just
Well, complex scheme, but you go to a system like the Bears where it's like, hey, I'm the big guy on. Like they needed size. They have little ass Darnell Mooney there, Cole Kmet's there, but I mean, they needed N'Keal Harry's size. He has the path to starting, and Justin Fields. They've been saying he needs weapons, so this isn't the weapon that everybody wanted. But for N'Keal Harry purposes, this is one of those dart throws. You're looking at it week one. You're looking at preseason, looking at training camp stuff, and saying, all right, this guy gets a chance to be the wide receiver 2 for this team. There might be a sliver of fantasy hope. And if anything ever were to happen to Darnell Mooney, look out. So to
right.
me,
Give me a chance,
give me a chance, baby. Yeah. There's upside.
So Zach, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter. If you guys want to follow us, Brandon, you got a question: 4 spot in a 12-team PPR league. Is it absurd to go for Harris there at the 4th spot? Najee?
No,
not
absurd.
Not absurd. No, sir. Not absurd.
Sir.
We at the Fantasy Gods love Najee Harris this year.
Prabat,
but not Prabat. Fade Prabat. Thank God. We love Najee. Go get Najee. Not absurd there. 12-team PPR. Should get some catches. We'll be fine. Yeah. Gabriel Davis breakout season. Justin's fading him. I'm telling you that I like Gabriel Davis, but I don't have him being a wide receiver 1. So there's no breakout that high. Can he ascend to a top 20 guy? Yes. I think
he's not a top 20 guy. Gabe Davis is going to be a wide receiver 3. No, any given week he could be, but he's a wide receiver 3, man. He's going to have his games. He's going to be like Mike Williams was last year to a lesser extent. He's going to have games where he goes off, and he's going to have games where he has duds. I'm not counting on Gabe Davis to be a wide receiver 2 for my team, which is almost where you have to draft him right now. He's in the top 25 wide receivers. So you're paying the price for Gabe Davis right now.
Yeah. You're definitely paying the price. If you believe in him, then you gotta roll with it. If you're gonna take value, then let him fall. Let him fall with the value.
Yes, sir. Any more questions from the from the chat? Otherwise, we're gonna get into this.
No, we just got a few what's ups. Hey guys on TikTok, man, if you guys want to watch me and Justin, go to our YouTube, our Twitch, and our Twitter. We are live over there. Get your questions answered. If you also have any other questions on TikTok, hit them here with me. I'll be going back and forth. But again, thank you guys for following and join us all year long, man. We got you back
all year long where the stars are shining bright. Speaking of stars shining bright, Hollywood, where the streets are paved with gold.
Man,
Hollywood Brown, bro, that caused a little bit of ruckus on TikTok, man. I put out a post talking about Hollywood Brown and how I'm fading Hollywood Brown at his ADP right now. Wide receiver number 22. You're having to draft him like the 7th, 6th round in order to get Hollywood Brown. And there's a lot to like about his situation coming in, obviously getting traded with D-Hop being out for 6 weeks. But then I look at it, I'm like, man, I'm not sure I want to pay low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 draft capital for Hollywood Brown. Dan, before I go nuclear on this topic and go into a little bit more of a deep dive, tell me how you feeling, man.
Well, okay. The biggest thing is why he's getting a lot of hype. Okay. Essentially broke out last year with 145 targets. He was 91 catches. To me, I don't like that at all. You have 145 targets. I want to see you catching, 105 to 110 balls. Only getting 91. There's a problem. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dropsies.
He's got some issues with drops. But again, broke out for 108 yards, 6 touchdowns. So he's small. He's little. He's not going to get a lot of touchdowns like the outliers do. Tyreek Hill. Those guys will get a lot of touchdowns. But, Hollywood Brown is, 5'9", 170 pounds soaking wet. So to me, what are you really after? I think you're after a similar year. I don't see him getting any more than what he got, and probably the catches are a little bit down based on the targets, because I think in the second half, D-Hop's going to be there. Me personally, if you're getting Hollywood Brown, first of all, at the price, I don't want it, because in most drafts, he's going around pick 36 overall I've seen. So that's, damn near end of the 3rd round. I don't like it at all. If you are going to take him, hopefully he drops. And if he does drop, you're flipping him. You have to flip him in week 3 or 4.
They're reaching on Hollywood Brown, bro. Like, it
reaching.
makes no sense. It makes no sense. And like you said, the upside for him, like last year was a great year for Hollywood Brown. A great year. 90 catches, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Like, that's a great year for Hollywood Brown. And now you come to a team, Arizona, who has a very similar setup. Quarterback situation is very similar. They throw about the same. Now you insert an elite tight end, just like Mark Andrews there. You have Zach Ertz. You have more capable receivers now with Rondale Moore, AJ Green, and the return of DeAndre Hopkins. So there's a lot to decipher there. And Kyler uses his legs a lot too. So to me, it's a very similar setup to what he had last year. It's just when you need him most in the fantasy playoffs, there's going to be this guy named DeAndre Hopkins who's going to get the lion's share of the touches. He'll be good, but he's going to be very, very inconsistent after those 6 weeks are up. Very inconsistent for your fantasy team. So if you got him, flip him. That would be if he goes off week 1, week 2, flip Hollywood Brown. I don't care if they're college teammates. Flip him for as high as you can.
Yeah, I'm flipping him for sure. Definitely.
Shout out to Wave Combo, said, love the draft guide. Amazing work. Appreciate you, dog.
Appreciate that, man.
Dawson Knox regression incoming as well. Loved him last year, but it seems the same situation as Gabe Davis. You feeling Dawson Knox this year, Dan?
I like Dawson's situation. He's explosive as tight end, which is what you want to see. I just feel like it's tough. It's tough to fade. Teams that have multiple options, and the Bills, they have multiple options. They have Crowder, Gabriel Davis, Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox, and now James Cook in the backfield. Josh Allen's got he can spread it out. He's good to roll. And again, this is one of the reasons why they're Super Bowl favorites. To me, I like Dawson is if you get him as your tight end too, playing for bye weeks, other little matchups here and there, streaming him. But, hoping that he's consistent. And not a lot of tight ends are going to be consistent. That's why we here at the Fantasy Gods recommend that you kind of almost reach on an elite tight end, nab that in there so you don't have to worry about it. So you know that every game you're going to be good and you're getting a position of advantage against most teams. So to me, like Dawson Knox as the player, I think he's better a football player than he is a fantasy player.
Yeah, I just think he's a hog red zone wise. So regression is the wrong word. I wouldn't use regression when it comes to Dawson Knox. I just think you're going to get a little inconsistency at the tight end position, which Dan already mentioned. So to me, I'm not like fading Dawson Knox. If I come in and I don't get a tight end, I take him there for the touchdown upside weekly, but I'm not looking to get Dawson Knox on my team. So I wouldn't necessarily call it regression because he was hurt last year. He still had a solid season. I'm just not expecting him to like blow up into that top 5 tier of tight end. So Schultz not reaching a contract extension so far. Any concerns? Because I love Dawson Knox this year. We've talked about it. I don't have any concerns because I feel like he's going to play no matter what. It almost increases his value to me because they're going to force feed him the rock. If it's a contract year for him, I think he's going to play at a very high level. So to me, I have no concerns about Dawson Knox. And until Michael Gallup gets back, he seems to be the locked-in wide receiver 2 for that team.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with Schultz either. No concerns with Schultz. They're going to get it done. He needs to play. Still got Jarwin over there. Still, he has the opportunity to kind of, burst onto the scene with Gallup still injured. Go get your money. He's going to be fine. He's no concerns, man. Jerry Jones pays guys, so I'm not.
He does, man. He pays up. For Hollywood, he was talking about the perfect value would be like the 8th round. And I can see, depending on the size of your league, if you're in like a 12-team league, maybe 10-team league, if Hollywood Brown slips there and you've already established your top 2 wide receivers, I don't mind getting Hollywood Brown as your like wide receiver 3 or even wide receiver 4, depending on how you draft. I'm just not taking him and hoping he's a wide receiver 2 for my team.
Yeah.
Dan, this question came in right here. So I have Michael Thomas and Amaron saying Brown as 9th and 12th round keepers respectively. Ooh. Which round do I start looking for a wide receiver 1? I have 2 third-round picks, but nothing in the 5th and 6th rounds. So I'm assuming this is a redraft league, keeper redraft league. What you thinking, man?
Well, if you're looking for a wide receiver 1, and definitely do, you definitely need to work on wide receiver 1. I like Mike Thomas and St. Brown more in the wide receiver 3 range. If Mike Thomas is healthy, and that remains to be seen still. He's running routes, and that's great. We like to see. We want to see talented.
We want to see him on the field.
Players. But yeah, we want to see him on the field, and it's been a minute for him to be on the field. I would, again, the first round, I think, did we talk about that? I talked about Najee being your running back 1 on TikTok. So now on YouTube here, we're going to answer the question. See, I like how we fallen everywhere. Falling on TikTok, YouTube. I love it. So for me, if you have 2 third-round picks, I'm not sure what you have in the second round. But second round, I probably, since you locked in Najee, I would go wide receiver 1 in the second round. And with those 2 third-round picks, go ahead and lock up your RB2 and another wide receiver. So that way you have 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and then the 2 keepers that you have there. So that's a locked-in good receiver core. And then that's how I would start that draft.
Yeah, those are weaker end wide receiver 3s in my opinion until Michael Thomas proves otherwise. And it looks like it's a 12-team PPR league where you start 3 receivers. So for me, yeah, you got to attack wide receiver in a PPR league earlier than this. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be inconsistent for you this year. Michael Thomas, we got to see him healthy. If he's healthy, he's probably a wide receiver 2 at least this year. Keep the questions coming in, guys. We're going to get to all the questions today on the episode. If you haven't downloaded the free Fantasy Gods Draft Guide, it's in the link in our bio on TikTok. It's absolutely free, no strings attached.
So much work
free
was put into that, guys. You guys are welcome.
We put a lot of work into this thing, man.
Too much work for you guys. But you know what? We want to do something different because ain't nobody on anything giving shit out for free. So
not for free, bro.
Hey, give us our flowers, man. Can I? Can I? Give us our flowers, dog. Straight up.
He's asking, do we like Chubb or Saquon more this year? And this all depends on your risk tolerance. We talk about risk tolerance a lot, and it's just like a stock. There's some that are safer that you know exactly what you're going to get, and there's some that are riskier that have a lot more upside. And to me, personally, I like to go with risk a lot more. Chubb and Saquon and me are very similar tier. Now, I would probably take Chubb because I know his floor is so high. He just doesn't have the upside. But if I had to, it depends on the makeup of my team. If I needed more upside, I'm absolutely taking Saquon. No questions asked. It just really depends on the makeup of my team. Right now, I have Chubb ahead of Saquon.
Yeah, I'm fading Chubb for Saquon. It's in my rankings. You can check it out in the draft. Yeah. But absolutely love Saquon. I don't care. I don't care what's happened the last 2 years. Fading the last 2 years. I don't care. I'm on the Saquon train. Let's go, baby. Let's go. He catches the ball at elite level. Give me the PPR beast, man.
And they're talking about giving him the ball more too. So it all depends on your risk tolerance. If you can stand maybe a potential injury or 2 to Saquon, sky's the limit for him this season. Keep the questions coming in. What are the realistic?
Man, I gamble on Barkley. You know what it is, bro. Of course we're gambling on Barkley.
What's good? Dexter, tell him we on the stream, man. Tell him to hop on the stream. Shit, we'll give him the invite. Ask him if he wants to come on the stream. It's good. Realistic expectations for
Bateman. Yeah, come on the stream, bro. Get up here. Slide the email, bro. It's good.
Realistic expectations for Bateman. Stat-wise, if you guys are looking stat-wise, because everybody's kind of looking Bateman. I saw a lot of hate today. There was a lot of hate on Twitter today on Rashad Bateman's fantasy value. Yeah, for some reason. They're saying that because of like the target share doesn't really match the volume, right? So the Ravens didn't pass for a whole lot of attempts last year. They keep forgetting that Lamar was out, but they didn't pass for a whole lot of attempts last year. I love Bateman this year as a wide receiver 1. I look at what Hollywood Brown did, and Bateman is more talented than Hollywood Brown. Let's just put that out there right now. Bateman is better talent. So to me, Hollywood Brown did 90, 1,006. Give me more touchdowns. So I look at like 8 touchdowns, 1,100, 1,200 yards for Bateman with a similar amount of catches, 90 catches. Give me a strong wide receiver 15 finish for Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I got to agree. I absolutely love Rashad Bateman coming out as a prospect. If you guys were following me last year, I had him as my wide receiver 2. And but I had some concerns with Chase. Obviously, Chase blew that all away. But Bateman should be great. I mean, there's a reason why they traded Hollywood Brown. It's a lot of times when you see like what do teams do in the draft and what do teams do in the off season that really, makes you think. So like, for example, for Gabe Davis, for me, it's like they know we all knew that we needed another receiver, but they didn't draft anybody. They added, older but more efficient Crowder. But it wasn't. They didn't draft anybody or didn't make a big splash because they could have got Allen Robinson. That was one of the names hopped up in the offseason. That could have been that would have been a hindrance to Gabriel Davis. So it seems to me like they have some faith in him. So just like Bateman, to me, what did the Ravens do in the draft? They drafted all defense, man. There's nobody that really came to the
They're still
Ravens.
rocking with Duvernay as a number 2
Exactly.
right
So
now.
to me, it's like they have confidence in Bateman that he could take the next step. So I mean, his range of outcomes is top 12. That's a range that he can attain by being the only option there.
I don't feel like there's enough volume for top 12.
Well, I think I think there is enough volume. To me, Hollywood Brown had 145 targets. So if you give Bateman at least 130, I mean, you could conceivably think that he's not going to drop the ball as much as far as the rate. So that's probably 100 catches. If you're getting 130 targets, it's probably doing 100 catches, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. And that's relatively around top 12.
Because Hollywood was number 23 last year with 90 catches, 1,000 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So
yeah, it's close.
Catching up there.
Yeah.
Subtitled Chip, what's good? He said, is there a rookie not named Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker that might be a big help in the second half of the year for your playoff push? Yes, I absolutely think so. I know we probably have different ones, Dan. I'm going to go with mine. I'm looking over in the Bay, and it's not just because I got the Bay stuff here in the back. I'm looking at Tyrion Davis-Price, who's going to be a very low-cost option. Probably won't be rostered early on in the season, but will definitely be on radars towards the first parts of the week. They're going to run him in the red zone. He'll be very active, and especially when they run those RPOs, that inside running that you need sometimes, I think the Niners are going to be getting away a little bit from that outside zone they've typically been running. So I like Tyrion Davis-Price. Smash mouth, I think if anything were ever to happen to Eli Mitchell or if Shanahan went with the hot hand, you might see yourself a strong RB2 there.
Yeah, I have to go with Rachaad White for me out of Tampa Bay, running back. To me, most of the time for rookies in later half of the years, it's a lot easier for running backs to get a lot of value. So to me, later on in the draft, after around 12, you kind of want to just take all these rookie running backs that have the opportunity to become workhorses. Now most of them won't, and that's just just is what it is at that point. Some rookies pan out, some don't, but they're drafted to the point where they can perform. So Breece Hall and Walker are the two big guys that have early strangleholds of a starting job. But Davis-Price and Rachaad White have to earn it, right? They have to kind of see a situation and take it over and then become efficient in that situation. So to me, they are league winners if like Mitchell were to go down or if Fournette were to go down because of where they're being drafted. They're being drafted super late. And so to me, if something were to happen to their starters, they are league winners, in my opinion, because you're getting them so late.
Facts. All right, bet. Well, Brandon's asking, what's your guys' favorite approach for drafts? I've always alternated running back, wide receiver for the first 8-9 rounds, but I've seen more love for 0 wide receiver, 0 RB. Best player available. Always go with who you think is the best player at that time you should be drafting. Don't go into a draft with the strategy. We talk about this damn near every show. Now, in PPR leagues, I do tend, especially when you draft with a lot of like very savvy different managers, I do tend to go 0 RB a little bit more in PPR leagues because it feels like people are saying, oh, I can wait on receiver, get all these running backs early and get receivers. So it tends to be more value with receivers and tight ends early. I go for the value. Now in standard leagues, I probably would rush to get better running backs because the value isn't there. So it all depends on your league. And if you only have 2 wide receivers as well, you probably don't want to go 0 RB. You probably want to get a running back if you're only starting 2 receivers. So just be careful of your league settings, but best available player at all times.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree. Like we just keep knocking this, beating a dead horse. I mean, guys, there's no I don't go into any draft thinking like, oh, I need to draft this way. No, it's just let the board fall to you. You control the draft. You dictate what happens. You don't let if it goes 7 quarterbacks in a row, you don't panic and take the 8th quarterback. Like if he's not the best available, like you go ahead and take a Jonathan Taylor or you take a Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. Like you don't let the draft, influence you, scare you, manipulate.
Bro, like if you're pick 10 and Cooper Kupp is sitting there because everybody else is taking a running back, and you came into there saying I have to go running back. You're going to miss out on one of the top players in fantasy just because of that. You don't want to
Right.
go into a draft thinking you have to draft a certain way. Be adaptable. Be adaptable to the draft room. We were just in a live draft and there was some crazy ass picks that we didn't see coming, and you had to adapt. So just be mindful of that, man. Dan, answer this one, man. We've been getting a lot of questions about the Chiefs receivers. Our guy Corey, we only getting is Corey an analyst? I don't know Corey. I don't know who Corey is. Corey, if you're a fantasy analyst, we can get you on, but we're only doing fantasy analysts heading into the season right now. Which Chiefs player presents the most fantasy value other than Kelsey and Mahomes? Which one do you think?
Yeah, to me, I'm Team Juju. I'm Team Juju. All of us kind of have a different take on the Chiefs. We haven't come to a consensus on who is going to be, because me, P, you, we're all over the place. And for me, like, I think it's Juju Smith-Schuster. I think,
Yeah.
again, proven himself in the league once, which, is more than a lot of wide receivers nowadays. But I just think that, he chose the Chiefs for a reason. So obviously maybe he's been talking to Mahomes, there, insider trading, all that bullshit that could happen. But to me, I really like the youth. I think he's explosive. He was productive. Now, he wasn't fantasy productive like we've seen him be before. But
Right.
I think there's just something about Juju Smith-Schuster. I like Smith-Schuster as the guy this year outside of Kelsey.
Okay, I ain't mad at that. I've been on Hardman as far as the receiver, but I'm actually in for a bounce back year for CEH. I think he has the most value outside of the receivers. There's been a lot of talk about Ronald Jones coming in and taking over the role, and we saw what that looked like in Tampa Bay. So I'm not too concerned about that unless CEH is just completely trash, which it could happen. But he's going right now like the 8th to 10th rounds in drafts as like a running back 3 option for a lot of teams. To me, I see a lot of upside there. If he is healthy and he is due for a bounce back campaign, there's a lot of value to be had in that offense. So I'm not mad at CEH's value right now. And I think it's a little bit more apparent that he has value over picking which receiver for the Chiefs does have value.
Yeah. So Fantasy's Finest saying, be adaptable. Best advice you can give. Yes, sir. You know what it is.
Yes, sir.
MVS making the most noise. And crossing my fingers for Sky Moore with Gordon as a deep dart throw. So I feel like everybody is just, we don't know. I mean, everybody is kind of just that up and down, like there's no consistency. But I think the thing is, I will say this, it reminds me of a, similar, not to say that the outcome will be the same, but Cooper Kupp versus Robert Woods, right? Oof. Who was going to be that guy? And if you get the right one, your team is probably winning the ship. And that's probably what
there's a lot of reports saying that MVS is the guy right now. I just don't I don't know if we can establish a true value until they start playing the games, bro.
Right.
Like we can't. So he said nobody's going to mention James Cook. To me, okay, let's talk about James Cook. We'll talk about him real quick. And Dan, as a Bills fan, I know you probably have a certain way about this. I just feel like his value is going to be there, but they're not just going to let Singletary not touch the rock. Like he's still going to be a valuable part of that offense. I think we see a little bit of Zach Moss at some point in the season as well. Nothing heavy, but just a part of the rotation. And their goal line back is Josh Allen. So outside of a few pass catches, it seems a little too busy for James Cook, in my opinion, especially early on.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see how he's being used. To me, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to see what happens with James Cook. And I don't see, like, if you get him as your running back 4, I like it. If you get him running back 4, I'm okay with that because, I can see the upside, right? You have an elite offense. The running backs usually do well in elite offenses. And, but Josh Allen's going to be Josh Allen. He's probably going to have, 15 rushing touchdowns and 75 passing touchdowns. So.
Here we go.
To have some value.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be, I don't know. I just don't see it, man. I see maybe later on in the season, but I just don't see them completely going away from Devin Singletary. So someone in my fantasy league's name, Zach Wilson, is throwing bombs and banging bombs. My goodness. Zach Wilson, man, over there, the MILF Hunter. I actually took him in the Scott Fishbowl, man. I wasn't too proud of myself, but he looks like he put on some muscle this offseason, man. I ain't buying into any Zach Wilson hype, but hopefully this story, man, His play could kind of bury the story.
QB3, it's all good. QB3, it's all good.
QB3 is good. Speaking of QB3s, do you think Jared Goff hate will simmer down a bit due to the hard knocks following Detroit this year?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure how much he's being hated on. I mean, I think he's solid value this year in fantasy. To me, he's being drafted in around 10 to 9 in that range. You know, he's gonna be look. If you're fading the QB, if you're fading, I like Jared Goff as someone that's zero QB. If you're a strategist that's a zero QB, I like Daniel Jones. I like Jared Goff as faders. If you're gonna fade the QB position, go with those two. Because look, the Detroit Lions are upgrading their offensive line. They have all the weapons in the world in Swift, Hawkinson. You know, they just drafted Williams in the first round, DJ Chark, and St. Brown.
Yeah,
That's a quarterback's dream. You know, you have three really good receivers, especially when Williams is healthy, a good solid tight end, and a elite pass catching running back, and a good offensive line. What more do you need, man? So to me,
they didn't draft his replacement.
And they didn't draft his replacement. Exactly. So to me, it's like they have total faith and confidence. They've seen what Jared Goff did on a super powerhouse Rams team, which I'm trying to remember the exact finish that he did, but I know he was top 10. He was top 10 quarterback in that situation. So to me, take a dark throw. And he had some good games last year. It's not like he had like 3 or 4 games over 20 in the last few games when he was traded after the Rams trade. So for fantasy, I like it.
You know, Jared Goff to me has been disrespected. I think he got thrown under the bus. Seeing that Stafford went over there and won a Super Bowl, it's like everybody did kind of throw Jared Goff under the bus and say it was his fault that they didn't win a Super Bowl and that he obviously didn't look good with the Lions last year. But it's like you switch coordinators, you don't have a whole lot of talent on the team. You are going to play like shit. You're going to look like shit on the field. So when I look at Jared Goff this year, I think he has some talent around him, and I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. Now, I don't think he's going to be anything special fantasy-wise. If you get him as your QB2, you're looking good. I think he's a back-end QB2 with some weekly upside. And if Jameson Williams gets healthy, then maybe you have a little bit more than that. But I'm not going into anything. I don't really think that Jared Goff's name can improve too much unless he takes that Lions team to the playoffs. Now, if that becomes a 9-win team and they go to the playoffs, I think we're talking differently about Jared Goff. But I think this is Jared Goff's last hurrah in Detroit. I think they'll be looking to get somebody to replace him next season more than likely. What has Gabe Davis done besides the 4 TDs in the postseason? Getting way too much hype. Don't fall for the trap. Now, this is something I kind of mentioned earlier in the season or in the offseason, talking about Gabe Davis. Dan, you and I have gone back and forth. And before I get into all the negative about Gabe Davis, do you think that's a right idea, is to kind of fade him this year? You think he's getting all the hype off of just 4 touchdown game?
Well, yeah, definitely. His hype is a little bit out of control. I think that a lot of people love Josh Allen, and I don't know what they think of Diggs. Diggs had a kind of a down year last year.
He was a wide receiver 7 last year.
Yeah, and I think Diggs has bounces back. I think he has a great year this year, but so I think it's a combination of love Josh Allen, down year in Diggs. They didn't really draft a replacement for wide receiver 2, and he had a big playoff game. So all of the things combined, people can kind of say, "Oh,
third-year breakout
is going to break out." So, yes, is it hyped? Yeah, it's every draft it seems like Gabe Davis is going higher and higher and higher. And you know what? Sometimes you guys in drafts, listen, you're gonna miss out on everybody's breakout. Bateman's probably going to eventually, by the time we draft in late August, early September, Bateman's probably going to be a 4th rounder. And at that point, it's probably just too high to take these guys. So to me, it's like you can't sacrifice value. You can't sacrifice, the fact that you want him or, this, that, and the other. Don't worry about, players that are going to break out or the next big thing. Trust your gut, trust the draft, control the draft. Don't let it control you.
Yeah, to me, Gabe Davis, I'm right on the same page with that. Gabe Davis, to me, it was a lot of his last game. But then it was also some of his usage towards the end of the year. He had a couple big target games and he was getting more playing time. And I think what's most exciting for everybody is not even the playoff game. I think it's just the fact that Emmanuel Sanders is gone, Cole Beasley's gone. So they're like, oh, de facto, there's targets available. They're all going to go to Gabe Davis. He's going to be a monster wide receiver too. I just don't see it. They also did sign Jamison Crowder. They also drafted Khalil Shakur. They also have Isaiah McKenzie already, who's looking for a bigger role. Dawson Knox is going to be healthy. They drafted James Cook. Like, there's a lot of targets that are going to be dispersed between those guys. It doesn't all just go to Gabe Davis, who's going to just be this elite wide receiver now. That's not how this thing works. So to me, I just feel like a lot of people are getting excited. They look at vacated targets, assuming most of them go to Gabe Davis in an increased role. And now that increases ADP. I still think Gabe Davis has the potential to do better than he did last year. Do I see 10 touchdowns in his future? Probably not. Do I see 1,000 yards in his future this season? Probably not. Do I see a strong wide receiver 4 showing in his future this year? Probably. So I think we'll see some inconsistent weeks. He'll have a blow-up week or 2 throughout the year, maybe 3 or 4 of them. Who knows? But is he going to be somebody you want to have as your wide receiver 3 weekly? Absolutely not. And that's where he's being drafted right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Corey is smooth. I got you, Corey. Dan said to avoid Daniel Jones, and yet he drafted him when I was on the podcast. Don't let him fool you. Hey, I did the same thing with Zach Wilson, though. I said to avoid him, and sometimes you got to, you know what?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, if value is there, value's there. And people are going to drop, they're going to drop. So to me, I think I might even have had Kadarius Toney in that draft. So I don't remember, to be honest. So many mock drafts I do for you guys. I mean, I'm always there for you guys. But to me, there are going to be guys that you fade. But when the value is there in drafts, just go ahead and take them. Take the value.
Like, I'm fading a lot of players. There's a lot of players I say fade at their ADP. But if the ADP shakes out and my team is setting up a certain way, I might take that player. Like, if Hollywood Brown is getting faded and everybody's fading Hollywood Brown and he's there in the 8th, 9th round as my wide receiver 4, I might take Hollywood Brown. If there's another, if Daniel Jones is there, I'm not a big Daniel Jones guy, but if I don't have another quarterback and there was a super run on quarterbacks in a super flex league, and I'm looking at some of those back at Jacoby Brissett, Geno Smith, I might take Daniel Jones just because it might be the last pick that I have to get. So sometimes you got to play your draft, be very adaptable, and even on your takes, be able to say, you know what, just because I'm fading somebody at their ADP doesn't mean I'm fading them completely. Like, I think people got to get that out their system too. You can't say I'm just going to not draft a certain player. Everything's adaptable, man. We're trying to win leagues. It's not about being right. It's about winning your league.
Thanks.
I'm at the 12th spot in my draft, and I have a hard time passing on Jalen Hurts at the 4-5 turn after Mahomes, Herbert, and Allen are gone. Am I reaching way too hard? What you think, Dan?
Well, I mean, it depends on when you say 12 spots, that means just 12 teams. Is it super flex? Are we taking 2 QBs? So let me know in the comments there.
Assuming 4-5 turn, he's probably looking. That's his only QB. It looks like, because Mahomes, Herbert, and Allen are the only ones gone at 4-5. That's got to be 1 QB league, right?
Yeah, I would think it's probably 1 QB. So at that point, no. I mean, yes, you would be reaching if you take him there. I think that you can wait. There's tons of other QBs. I'm a big fan of Russell Wilson. I think that Russ will go way later, and I think he's going to be very good for your team. So if it's a 1 QB league, I'm not reaching. I'm waiting. Especially if the first 4 guys are gone. Like, if Mahomes, Herbert, or Allen are gone, why aren't we taking Lamar? Lamar is going to be the 4th best QB. So get Hurts out of there. Like, what? Go with Lamar Jackson, homie.
Lamar, Kyler is still there. There's other talent there. So at the 4-5 turn, I get it. I get the reasoning. He's like, I want to get my guy. Hurts might be his guy. I want to get him before the wraparound, before there's another 24 picks before I pick again. And to me, I still think you're reaching, because there's other quarterbacks you could rock with. But that 4-5 turn, there's a lot of talent that's available to help your team out outside of the quarterback position. Like, if you don't get Hurts there, and then at your next pick, you got Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, maybe if you like Trey Lance, like if you got Dak Prescott there, I don't think you're going to be so upset. But if you miss out on your guys, your Rashad Batemans, your Michael Pittmans, your whoever else is in that 4-5 area, Now you're stuck with the Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's. You're stuck with the Gabe Davises, just a little bit more question marks at the next spot. So I think you lock in your value with your 4 or 5 pick, get the strong targets, and then look for quarterbacks later. There's a lot. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the QB 12 right now, and he's going to be a locked-in top 10 quarterback like he is every single season. So to me, I am not taking a quarterback that early in a 1 QB league. There's so many quarterbacks this season. Fade that and go get the talent that you need to help your team. Good question, by the way. Any Patriots players worth drafting besides Damian Harris?
No. For me, there's a few teams that I'm fading, and a couple of them are going to be, the Titans overall. I'm probably fading. The Patriots were another one. Probably the Seahawks if Jimmy G doesn't go there, and they're just kind of stuck with what they have.
You don't like anybody on the Pats?
I look, okay. The guy that I like, and I've said it in the TikTok breakouts, and I've said it, in other scenarios, is Pierre Strong. I think Pierre Strong has the opportunity to be that James with a plus.
He's got to be on your dynasty team.
Yeah, of course it's dynasty. So to me, most people don't know who the hell that is, yeah. But I do, and he's great. And to me, leave him on waivers. He's not going to be probably drafted in most leagues, but someone to keep an eye out for second half of the year.
I think for sure, if you're looking for different targets, Mac Jones is like obviously QB2-ish. You can put him in there at QB2. I think Devontae Parker is going to be a low end, like a wide receiver 4-ish type play for you. Has potential for more. Will be very inconsistent, but for bye week purposes or injury purposes, he's somebody you want to keep on your team and will have value. Hunter Henry back in QB tight end too. And Ramondre Stevenson is just one of those guys where if he gets a starter's role, we've seen him have 20-point outbursts. So I don't think there's anything worth reaching on or like top 10 value, but in the back end of your drafts, I ain't too mad if you grab some of those Patriot guys. Justin, are you higher on Jerry Jeudy or Sutton? I am higher on Jeudy for the record. So I know this is going to be one of those Cooper Kupp. We talked about Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods type of things. I'm higher on Jeudy right now. Dan, are you fading Debo? And what's the target area for him if you are fading him, or if you're not? Where are you drafting him right now?
I'm not fading Deebo Samuel. He's an elite player. So, no, I can't. A lot of times when you're elite, it just doesn't matter. Those guys find a way to win. They find a way to ball out. And Deebo is he is that dude. He posts very good. If you guys are interested in metric numbers, he posts, top 10 value is yards per route run, which again is the most efficient receiver metric you can have in the game. And he's up there. And in the last 4 years, he's better than a lot of players, man. Just really, I mean, the Niners are stupid to, even entertain the fact that he wants to leave. I mean, pay Deebo Samuel, give him the money. I'm not fading him at all. Yes, he's probably not going to get a lot of runs, and that's fine. We don't want our receivers running the ball. Like, who cares? Pass him the rock. Trey Lance should be ascending to a top 10 team top 10 quarterback for fantasy. So give me all the Deebo. And where am I targeting him? Probably late second round, third round. And if he's being faded, great, scoop him up.
So that doesn't bother you, though, if they're probably not going to run him as much. And then also the fact that Trey Lance is now going to be the quarterback. Like, to me, does that impact your ranking at all? Because Jimmy G obviously doesn't have the same arm strength Trey Lance has. And a lot of people are excited about like Brandon Ayuk or George Kittle potentially getting back to relevance. Trey Lance is going to be running the football a little bit more. Does that concern you at all when you're accounting Deebo's value right now?
No, it doesn't concern me, because to me, at the end of the day, like I say, elite players find ways to win. Like, you're not going to be concerned with Devontae Adams going to the Raiders with Carr. Like, you're just not. I'm not concerned. I'm not. Like, if anything, like Deebo is at worst, Deebo is DJ Moore, right? At worst, he's going to be efficient. Going to have 1,000 yards, 1,200 yards. And maybe the touchdowns come down, but at worst he's DJ Moore. And so to me, and at best DJ Moore is DJ Moore. So to me, you're getting the floor is very, very high for Deebo Samuel.
I'm looking at Debo, and to me, I'm not fading him, but I'm not actively pursuing Debo Samuel. He's somebody that when CeeDee Lamb's gone, Mike Evans is gone, and it's my turn. And if I haven't, if he's sitting there on the board at the back end of the third round because he's fell in drafts, then I'm looking to take him. But I don't think I'm actively looking to draft Debo Samuel. Unfortunately, he's not necessarily a fade, because if he fell to me at the right spot, I'm taking him. But I think in the back end of the third round, like mid to back end of the third round in a 12-team league is probably where I'm looking at Debo Samuel. Can Tua support both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? When I look at Tua, I do think that he can support both of them. Now, I just don't think their ceilings are as high as people would expect a name like Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle to be. He's going to throw for somewhere between 3,500 to 4,000 yards. You can expect. So both of those guys, that allows for 1,000 to 1,200 yards between both of those guys. So I would assume one of them gets 1,200 yards, probably Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle is going to be somewhere in that vicinity as well. It just limits the upside when you got Tua. So is Tua throwing for 5,000 yards? Hell no. But can he support both of those guys? Absolutely, I think he can.
So I got a question on TikTok. How long do you think Kamara is going to be suspended? And if he is, would you keep Ingram in Dynasty? And I'll just answer it quick. I think he's probably going to get about 4 to 6 games. But again, in Dynasty, you're holding that. It doesn't matter if he's 4 to 6 games. Dynasty is a nothing, right? So just keep Alvin Kamara. He's a great asset for your Dynasty team. Would you keep Ingram? Yes. I mean, if you have both guys, yeah, keep Ingram. Don't drop Ingram. It's going to be the starter for however long, Kamara's out. So now will he produce Kamara numbers? Hell no. But, if you need him to, as a bye week fill-in or, injury, or you just don't have any running backs and you just need to throw one in there, yeah, keep Ingram.
Yeah, I think Kamara for sure is going to get suspended 6 games. Subtitleship saying true, can't reach too hard on the ceiling. We don't even know exists exactly. Talking about some of those, the Jalen Hurts pick. I think we know the ceiling's there. It's just a matter of some of those other guys too, like the Trey Lances have really high ceilings. There's some other guys down there you can get ceilings. Before we get to this other question, Dynasty help. Dan, this is you, man. I'll give you this one. Just spent the past season rebuilding. I have Dobbins, Elijah Mitchell, Cam Akers, AJ Dillon, Jameson, I'm assuming Jameson and Mike Williams, T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Kadarius Toney. Should I trade away T. Higgins and Cam Akers for Javonte Williams and Brandon Ayuk?
No.
That's going to be a no for me, dog.
Absolutely not. First of all, in Dynasty, you want to build around wide receivers. Okay, you want to build around wide receivers. Don't be trading just because you're trying to get an upgrade for Javonte Williams and Ayuk. I would probably, if you're trying, I'm assuming you're trying to go after Javonte Williams, right? Okay, that's fine. To me, I would probably get rid of Garrett Wilson, who I think is someone that I think you can get a lot of value out of. I think everybody likes the shiny new toy, and I don't feel like Garrett Wilson is. Frankly, I don't feel like anybody in this class is going to be the next Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, right, over the last 2 years. If anyone could be it, it's going to be between Pickens and Christian Watson, with a close third could be Drake London. So since you have Drake London, I would probably not try to fade him. I would probably go with Wilson and probably Elijah Mitchell and maybe a pick to attain a Javonte Williams if we're going to go that route. But never trade away your elite receivers. I'm just not doing it. I don't care. I'm holding those guys like they're gold, and I'll find other ways to make deals, but do not trade away T. Higgins.
Yeah, when I look at, especially for straight line value, you're doing receiver, running back for receiver, running back. And when I look at Brandon Ayuk versus T. Higgins dominates that by a mile. Like, it's not even close value-wise. So then I go to Cam Akers and Javonte Williams, and if you would have told me that Russell Wilson wasn't coming to Denver and that Melvin Gordon wasn't re-signing in Denver, and even for the future prospects of that, if Russell Wilson wasn't in Denver, okay, maybe I look at Javonte Williams as having a little bit more upside. But with Russ coming, they're going to be focusing 1,000% on the pass, and Cam Akers is going to be coming back from this injury, and I get it. You might be concerned about the Achilles. I am too. I'm not sure what his value is, but I think we saw the Rams use him very much still in the playoffs last year. Keep Cam Akers. The value between Cam Akers and Javonte isn't going to be as much as you think. So I'm looking at that deal. To me, it looks like a clear win for the Higgins-Akers side. And I don't think it's close. I'm not trading away T. Higgins for probably Javonte Williams and Ayuk without Cam Akers anyway.
Yeah, true. On TikTok, Ryan is saying I have Devontae Adams, Waddle, Elijah Moore, Adam Thielen, Landry, and Velus Jones. Advice for a trade to get younger. I think you got to trade. In my opinion, I think good. In my opinion, if you're going to try to get younger, go with Elijah Moore and Thielen as a package. I like Landry. Keep Landry. I think now is the time to get rid of Thielen. And if you can use the name Thielen, and a lot of people are hyping Elijah Moore, you could go receiver. You probably can get someone. If I had to look at rankings, right? If you're talking about trying to get younger at the receiver game, right? So to me, if I pull up rankings wide receiver, if you get to trade Thielen and Elijah Moore, a lot of people like that. Look at Bateman. Look in that range. Look at even Chris Godwin. Because after he gets back from injury, he's going to be a monster. And some people are, doubting him because he got injured, this, that, and the other. Even I would be okay with Mike Evans, right? So Mike Evans, a lot of people, they know he's good, but he's almost 29 years old. Some people are getting crazy with that, but I think Mike Evans is still going to return solid value, and that's
DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Go get D-Hop. Everybody is low on DeAndre Hopkins right now because that 6-game suspension, and they act like he's retired. He's 30 years old. It's not like he's dead. Like, go get DeAndre Hopkins. He's one of the best receivers in the league right now. This is the lowest his floor will be. The lowest his trade value will be. Go get DeAndre Hopkins right now. For that Garrett Wilson package, you probably could get DeAndre Hopkins and another player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just one more question on TikTok, then I'm going to turn it over to our questions here. Should I trade Devontae Adams and Kupp to get younger? And a lot of people have come to me with that question. And to me, it just depends on your team. If you're a contender, you do not trade either of them. Keep them on your team and run that ring one more time. Try it one more year. Now, if you're 7 players away from being relevant, then absolutely, you trade both of those guys. It's time to get those guys off your team. I know it sucks because they're great players, but try to trade them to guys that are not contenders with them. I always like to trade them to guys that are like hovering around playoffs. They make it a year, or they just barely made it, because the guys that just barely make it every year are desperate. They're desperate. And that's how you attack your dynasty leagues. Go get the desperate guys, trade them to those guys, and you'll get the most value. Hey, Justin, your mic is muted, man. So
here we go. We back now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so you don't trade Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams in any format until they're on their last leg. Like, they both just signed 5-year extensions. So they have at least 2 to 3 years more of prime value. I'm not trading either of those guys. You're drafting in Dynasty to get to the prime. You want to see through the prime as far as you can until that last little bit of value is sunken out. So to me, I'm waiting 2 more years to trade Cooper Kupp or Devontae Adams, whether I'm rebuilding or not. You can rebuild around those guys and win next year. Don't just go trading those guys to anybody, because somebody else is going to become an instant contender with Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams.
Facts.
Real quick on this one, will Justin Jefferson get the 2001 Cooper Kupp usage? Real quick, you think yes or no?
No, I don't think he gets that usage. I mean, I just don't think that offense is built the same for Justin Jefferson to get that many targets. Now, do I think that he would explode with 191 targets? Absolutely. He probably would have over 2,000 yards receiving and about 16 to 20 touchdowns. Yeah, I could see that. He's a much better receiver than Cooper Kupp, in my opinion. But that offense is just not geared towards giving him 191 targets. It's just not. You got Dalvin Cook, man. Dalvin Cook is one of the top running backs in the league. And Kirk Cousins is not Matthew Stafford. So to me, I'm good with 150 targets. Just you want your wide receiver 1 to get 150 targets. That's the goal. If you get 150 targets, you're good. And Justin Jefferson can maximize fantasy production on 150 targets. So yeah, I'm good with that.
I think we do see a special season from Justin Jefferson. Now he's in the same role, obviously in the same offense. So to me, it's just a matter of the volume. Can Kirk Cousins produce at the volume that we're going to expect that a Stafford will produce? I don't see it, but shit, it wouldn't surprise me if he had a dominant season. Switchfoot said, "Love it, guys. Thank you. Been super torn on this for days about that deal. We were talking about the dynasty deal. Shout out to Switchfoot990. Hopefully that helped, man." Is there a player that's being hyped to the moon that you just can't wrap your mind around? For me, it's Allen Lazard and Russell Gage.
Yeah, I'll take this real quick. So I can't wrap my mind around Russell Gage. I can't do it. I'm flipping him just like I am Hollywood Brown. I hated Russell Gage. I'm not a fan, and he's just small. He's little. Unfortunately he's irrelevant to me. Go get Allen Lazard. The hype is good with Allen Lazard. I think he's on his way to be a wide receiver 1 in that offense who could probably return you wide receiver 2 numbers this year. And with Aaron Rodgers, anything is possible. So to me, go get Lazard. You could definitely wrap your brain around that. To me, Lazard is legit. He'll be fine. He's a breakout candidate that I really like. And you're getting him for value in every draft that I've seen him in. I cannot snag him because I just keep thinking, oh, he'll last another round. Oh, he'll last another round. And everybody is just getting monster value because I keep waiting. So Lazard should creep up in August and September and be right around where he should be. And he's going to be good.
I'm with you on Lazard and with you on Russell Gage. I see 4 to 6 games of average wide receiver 3 production. And then when Chris Godwin gets back, we're back to normal. Russell Gage as a flex play at best on bye weeks. Rashad Bateman or Darnell Mooney. To me, the value is very similar. I'm thinking Bateman has a lot more upside. And Bateman's the player you should take. You're not taking Darnell Mooney over Rashad Bateman in any format. Go with Rashad Bateman all day, every day over Darnell Mooney. What can you expect from Allen Robinson this year? Dan, you want this one?
Yeah, I'll take it. Look, Allen Robinson, to me, I think he's going to get in that Robert Woods role, probably a little bit more efficient. Okay, so to me, I think that Allen Robinson is going to come back and to a level that we're more accustomed to seeing. Now, will he be the wide receiver 1? No, absolutely not. But I could see Allen Robinson getting around 120 to 130 targets. That's going to lead to about 90 catches, probably 800 to 900 yards. And I think he probably can scratch 7 to 8 touchdowns. So to me, that's going to put you around, I'd say, wide receiver 20 in that range. So to me, he's being drafted as wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 in most leagues.
Yeah.
So go get the value.
I think people are looking at last year and seeing how he did with the Bears and assuming he's done. Like, that's the worst assumption to me from people who don't watch football. You can tell they don't actually watch the game. Allen Robinson isn't done. He's just in a shitty situation. And so he goes to a situation now where the offense is geared for receivers like Allen Robinson to thrive in the offense. We saw OBJ come and have a strong season. Van Jefferson had a strong season last year. Robert Woods is having a strong season last year. Allen Robinson steps into the number 2 spot in that offense. And to me, he's going to have a dog type year. I expect wide receiver 2 numbers from Allen Robinson. And the crazy part is, if you really, really think about it, if anything were to happen to Cooper Kupp, he's out 4 to 6 weeks with a sprained ankle. He's this, he's that. Allen Robinson turns into a top 5 wide receiver instantly. Like,
he missed 3 games. Like here's the thing too. Like, to me, like, he missed 3 games last year. And he had a down year. It sucks. But he was terrible. He was 1 year from that in 2020. He was 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns, so 102 catches. So he'll be fine.
I've never been a big A-Rob guy, to be honest with you, as the wide receiver 1. But I feel like you're pairing up with the best quarterback he's ever played with, and B, he's in a situation now where he can be the elite wide receiver 2 that I think he is. He'll be way better suited for that role. I don't think he's an alpha wide receiver 1 on the team right now. Fantasy Dude said, "I will not stand here and listen to this Russell Gage hate. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's just, I'm not a big Russell Gage guy either."
Oh, man. He knows he's trash.
And A-Rob is going to eat. Absolutely. Absolutely. A-Rob is going to eat, especially, what'd you say, Dan? Wide receiver 3, 4 type draft capital right now. Are you on? We need a couple more in, then I got to get going. Are you on the Christian Kirk train this year?
Christian Kirk, no, absolutely not. I'm not on that train. I am thinking that the Jags are going to surprise people with Trevor Lawrence getting more acclimated to the speed of the game. Obviously, in college for him, such an elite team where you have where you're playing with T. Higgins in college and you're just dominating teams. So it's gonna be a transition. And so for me, I'm just out on Christian Kirk. You know, he got paid. Congratulations. The agent fucking, swooped in and did his thing against the Jags, and the Jags, overpaid for Christian Kirk. But I'm good, man. I'm fading that. I'm probably going to take Trevor Lawrence late if I can, but it seems like he's going higher and higher in drafts, and I don't really understand why he's going too high. So I'm probably just fading the whole Jags. If anybody's going to be
recognizing he has value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people are recognizing that Trevor Lawrence has value, and I do think Christian Kirk has value. Like to me, I see it now. He's not somebody I'm actively pursuing in the drafts. If he falls to me and I need a receiver, I probably would take Christian Kirk. But for me, he's going in the round where there's a lot of upside running backs. So to me, I'm not really reaching on Christian Kirk. But I think he does have wide receiver 3, back end wide receiver 3, high end wide receiver 4 potential for your fantasy team all season long. So is he going to be wide receiver 2? I don't see it. But wide receiver 3 that could ascend to maybe high end wide receiver 3, I can see that. He was that last year for the Cardinals, and he'll be the one for the Jags. Couple more questions, and then we are out. Would you cut OBJ or Kendrick Bourne in Dynasty? I feel like it's obvious, but maybe it's not.
For me, I'm not cutting OBJ. I think that you're still going to get some value out of him. And if he comes back, well, he will come back. And when he comes back, I think that's the time where you flip him. There's no reason to cut him at this point because I think there's going to be value to be had. And if you just don't like OBJ, which is fine, I understand it may not be your guy, but other people do. And other people see that, hey, what if he goes to the Packers? Instantly becomes an upgrade. And so to me, at that point, hey, if you want to cut bait then and trade him, good, but get value. Never cut a guy that has potential value and leave him to the waivers for no reason. I mean, I'm going to get a pick. Give me a 3rd round. Give me a 2nd round pick. Just wait on the guys. Like, don't cut him. Just like Julio Jones, I'm probably still not cutting him until I know for sure that he's out because I just want that last snippet of value if I can snipe it from some other team.
Yeah, and Kendrick Bourne to me is not somebody that's a must-have at any level. He's going to tap out around 800 yards total for the whole season. So, and they just brought in Devontae Parker too. Now, I think you can flip Kendrick Bourne as well. Go get a pick from somebody, a late pick, or get an upside running back, somebody that can help your team. But out of the two, I'm keeping OBJ and getting rid of Kendrick Bourne. I would try probably not to cut unless there's just somebody you have to get. I don't even see cutting Kendrick Bourne. I mean, he was 800 yards last year, so he's probably going to be that again this year. I see that as a ceiling.
Cool.
Fantasy Dude said where he's being drafted is perfect. And then since the last question of the day, when are y'all doing a mock? We'll be doing a mock draft very soon. Hop into the Discord so you can get alerted when we do our mock draft, and that's where it will fill up from now on. We'll post a link in the Discord. Make sure y'all get the draft kit. It's out now. Free draft kit. Link in our TikTok bio, man. We put a lot of effort into this thing, man. So give us some feedback on the channel, too. Let us know in the comments how y'all feel about it. Dan, my man. Good combo with you today.
We out.
And we out, baby. We out.
Peace.